That's the agent, like what I see in the marketplace on the brokerage side more than ever. You see young aspiring agents. They aspire to these large successful teams. And what they do is they get this little logo and they hire their friends and they all say, "I'm going to start a team." And it always fails, not or 97% of the time it fails because a person started something about a want of this image instead of learning true lead flow and how to master that and then teaching and management.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. I'm Daniel Berger. I'm excited today to have Brandon Bogard, who comes with 20 years of experience. He's with the Serhant Group, which is I bet you people have heard about that. I think we should say, there's selling Serhant, it should be buying with Brandon. So I know some people at Netflix, and maybe we can work something out. But with that, Brandon, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, brother. And yes, call your people at Netflix. I would love to get buying with Brandon. That would be amazing.
Okay, well, I don't know why it hasn't happened. So I think you have bad people, and we'll work on that. So,
Let's do it.
20 years in the real estate world. You also came from Texas, and then it's like, how the hell does a guy from Texas? What part of Texas?
Amarillo, Texas. It's flat, brown, and ugly.
Wow, similar to the Spurs, right? Are you a Knicks fan? Are you a Knicks fan now? Or you're still a Texas fan.
I'm still a Texas fan, but I root
That's
for the Knicks. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'll root for the
okay.
other
Well, no,
teams. That's the
the
Knicks where
Cowboys.
you go.
Listen, the Cowboys are America's team, although they barely have won in your lifetime. But I can't, like, as a Jet fan, what am I going to say? I can't say anything, right? 1969, the year I was born, was the Knicks, the Jets, and the Mets. It's been pretty sparse after that. But wow, New York, right, with 53 years and going against the Texas team.
Yeah,
So kind
it
of
was it
crazy.
was great. The city was insane. It was insane.
Exactly. So tell me, how many years were you in? Have you always just done real estate in New York, or have you done it in both areas?
So yeah, I've only done it I had a previous career. I worked in fashion before I did this. And just now 20 years, which is crazy to say, doing it. And we actually just started in South Florida because of the cohesiveness with Miami, Boca, and certain parts of South Florida. In New York City, we call it our sixth borough, like the South Florida, as you would know. So that came just from lots of our ultra high net worth clients who own multiple homes and the developers we work with. It's very funny. We have people who live in Miami who are developing properties in New York City, and we have people who live in New York City that are developing or selling homes in Florida. So we just, we referred it two or three times and someone dropped the ball. And the two clients just said to me, both who were crossing paths, said, "Why are you not licensed here? You guys train the best agents." You know, and then the developer came to me and he goes, "Listen, you're getting licensed in Florida. I'm giving you a 200 unit condo building. Like, go get licensed." And so I went and got licensed. And now we just listed a $15 million penthouse in Highland Beach. We have a $30 million house and a really cool thing in Fort Lauderdale and a huge new development we just won in the Florida Keys, which will be like 11 homes. They'll be developed from 15,000 buildable to 35 or 15,000 buildable to 50,000 buildable, and they'll be 35 million to 150 million.
Wow, that's insane and incredible. So what? So when did you move to New York, and how was that transition for you?
To mine is, though, depending on the age group of people who are listening, mine is more of like the traditional way how it happened. I came to New York pre-internet and accessibility to everything that we all now have the luxury of using. I was in art school at the Art Institute and I applied for an internship in New York City to work for Christian Dior. And I got that. I got the internship and I was perplexed at the time. So my art teacher told me you have to move to New York and do this because everyone in the school is chasing this. You can always come back to school. And then my father, I'm Native American, so I got scholarship. They were gutted that I was going to leave school. So I packed up a bag. I found a place on Craigslist. I moved to New York City with a giant army duffel bag I took from my dad and $300. And I moved in with a stranger on Craigslist. And that was 20 something years ago.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Wow. So that is that, so the other thing is, as you say, Christian Dior, what was it? Your mayor is Muslim, your bagel's Jewish, Christians and Nixon four, but they didn't do it in four, they did it in five. But I had to say that. You set me up to not, if I didn't say that, I feel like I would have done something wrong.
That's
Um,
okay.
so, so your real estate world is really all New York City. By that
Yeah.
point, you had contacts and everything like that. So for me, this is my third career or whatever. I was in sales and marketing in the beverage world. I did solar until it went out of business, and I've been doing this for 10 years. Right.
Mhm.
So what's interesting is I had to reinvent myself. Right. So it's okay. I'm 47 years old. What am I going to do when I grow up? When I grow up, and my wife's like, "You should become a real estate agent." We're like, really? I didn't really have people that, I certainly watched all the shows and they're fantastic. And, the funny thing is that they call it reality. I don't think it's really reality. It's performance, but
Performance.
entertaining. Like, I love the shows.
Ah, they're great.
You know, I will say that your shows are bad in the sense that it makes people think that it's so easy and that they can do it. And that's why we have a lot of part-time people, right? Because they're like, oh, I can do this. It's a big deal, all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's the negative side. But honestly, we kind of joke because it's actually good. Because when
Yeah.
people work with part-time agents, they see, you know what? I need to work with a Brandon or a Danny. This is their job. This is, and we don't take, when was the last actual day off that you didn't do anything real estate related?
It's slim to none.
Right. Because you're always your phone, because if your developer in Florida is texting you about something, you're not making them wait or just like, oh, it's after
No.
5 o'clock. I'm putting my phone down. That is not how good people work, right? You're always there because the guy basically said, here's 200 units, right? Like he's trusting in you and you're not going to let him down. And real estate is 24/7. That part of reality, that's true.
Yeah, it's
You know,
true. You become when you start working for like developers and big developers or ultra high net worth people who own 5 or 6 homes that are north of $10 million in 5 different cities, you have to learn to become a safety net for them. Like if you really want to break into the luxury, what we teach our agents is to catch things before they happen for them. Like notice things like developers when we're doing things. That's one thing is what we try to do is be on top of things to notify him so he never comes to me with problems. So I'm like, hey, the landscaping's looking like shit in front of the yard. You need to call the guy and get on top of this for us because we've been selling the house. Oh, okay, I'll get on it right away. Oh, hey, the windows look terrible. Just wanted to flag it. I know. Do you want me to reach out to the building to get them clean? Do you want me to? I have the guy's number. I can handle it for you. They're going to send you an invoice. I'm on top of it. Or if you have another client where you're actually taking care of it for them, which you sometimes happens, you have to learn to become a safety net because the more value you can add by being on the offense, that you take care of things for them before they reach out to you, you become invaluable. Then they say, oh my God, my broker's on top of everything. Like he's telling me when to get the yard cut. He's having the guys come clean the windows. He's telling me when to do X. So when you do that, you get to drive the sale more than the homeowner being like, hey, the yard looks like shit. Why didn't you tell me? I haven't been here in 2 weeks. And then when you get behind that ball, it's impossible to not then because then they think I got to stay on top of my guy to let him know to make sure that they're busy, they're very successful. We really train to be behind that so that you catch the things before they do. So they're like, oh my God, you're on top of everything. Yes, we are on top of everything.
well, that's because you're not really a real estate agent. You're really a concierge, right?
Correct.
You're a concierge that has the knowledge to lead everyone. And I think that's what's better, different, and special about you is that, yes, being proactive and finding, and that's how you're going to get the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. So,
Correct.
you'll laugh at me being in, Westchester County is where I'm at. I do have a property right now in Harlem, that condo that I'm in contract, and it's been crazy. We
Congrats.
had to we had to evict someone. I was involved. The court ordered that I was there during the move out because there was animus between people. So
Of course.
buying with Brandon would have put that on because it was interesting. And you know and you know how it is when you clean out certain apartments, things are left that you're like a little interesting. That
Yeah.
you're like it's not for network television; it's more for cable and things like that. And
I know where you're
so it
headed with
was
it.
funny because I had to be at my Harlem move out. I was forced. The judge said Danny has to be there. So fine, I'll go. I was there for 6 hours. I sat there while the move, and one person, the owner of the apartment died, and the boyfriend, I guess, was there because they weren't married. That was really the issue. Was there, and things had to come out, and as we're doing that, and things were being left behind that are interesting. And I'm like, aren't you going to take that? They're like, yeah, no, I don't have room for it. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, really? And I mean, like, we're not going to get graphic, but they're graphic things. And
I
so it's, you know,
I have an idea.
but in the end of the day, I'm like, but that is yours. He's like, yes, it is mine, but I don't have room for it. I was like, interesting. So, a lot of our job is Switzerland, right? Like my job is to just move things forward. And I think why I do well is that, and I have a couple of cases with divorces, I don't choose sides. My side is selling the house, right? And if I can sell the property for more money, that helps all sides. And so don't get into into the nitty, just help people. And if you just try to
Yeah,
help people, and different people, have socioeconomic backgrounds, have different political views. It's like, you know, there's a time for political debate and there's a time for real estating. And I'm in real estating, I don't care, right?
yeah,
Like,
me too.
so it's mostly, treat everyone respectfully. That's the mantra, right? Treat everyone respectfully. But if you're going to have someone that doesn't treat, then you're going to do your thing. I'm not joining in with you, right? So that's what you're going to do. But so I wrote a book this year, The Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. There you go. So my Harlem deal is not going to be in the book because the book's written already, but it's just like
Yeah,
crazy things. So
yeah.
so you tell me if when you write your book, what's going to be one of the craziest stories that you're going to put in your book?
Oh my God, dude. Where do I start?
You know what? You should write
I
your book because I have people that are like, I've been doing this 30 years and I should write a book. And I go, write the book.
write the
You won't
book.
make any
I
money on the book, but it will be fun.
There's tons of crazy things that happen in New York that are like should be in TV. I'll give you a perfect example. So when I worked at my first real referral based business was Ford Models. I lived downtown. My friend, who was a good friend of mine, I got into real estate. He was the not the recruiter. He was the housing person for Ford Models. When people came to New York City for extended periods of time, he would find a real estate agent. That guy was one of my good friends. So I instantly started getting segued big at this time. These properties were $2 million in Soho, New York City. That was expensive. Some of these properties have since sold for like 5 or 6, 7, 8 million. But they referred me a model. She comes in, there was one property she wanted to see. And so I called the broker. He said, hey, the keys are with the doorman. But when you go, make sure you go early because this guy parties. He parties a little bit. You may have to pick up a little. And so I said, okay, I'll go early. So I show up early. The place looks relatively clean. There's a couple of beer bottles. There was one on the pool table and something else. And I'm like, okay, it looks great. So I just sat on the couch and waited for the daughter and the mother to come. So when I get in there, I start showing the property and I open the bedroom. And what I didn't see was a giant plate of a white substance. I think you all can use your imagination sitting on the dresser behind me. And so I had not, I just took peeked in the dresser. I didn't go all the way in. So when I went in, I was like, look at this master bedroom. It's amazing. And I stood right in front of it and I was texting the guy while I was there. I was like, what the fuck? There's a giant plate of cocaine here. And he goes,
Right.
dude, I told you to go early. The guy parties. And I'm like, okay, you mean party? I didn't know. And he goes, are you good? And I'm like, so anyways, they ended up leasing it. But later, I've told that story so many times. I think I've even made videos about it. But that's just one of many. There's people where we've walked in and they're in their underwear, fights.
Or
You walk
less,
into
right.
people fighting
Right.
less, and then,
Right.
narcotics and drinking, or guest staying and they freak out. They think you're a robber. It's you name it, it's happened. But that's one of the funner ones where I was like, oh, this is crazy. I feel like I'm in a movie. That's
Exactly.
and that's happened a
Exactly.
few times.
My book, I have stories of guns, skulls, pornography,
Yeah,
sex toys, so it happens. And I'm in Westchester, right? I'm not even in your market. So what's interesting is, yeah, so you definitely have a lot more. So you would fall asleep doing my job, right? So like last year, my business, I did 55 transactions for $40 million in sales with probably $1 million of GCI, right? So it's not bad, but like
that's
so
great.
basically, So give me an example of like last year for you or what your goals are for this
Um,
year.
Last year was the hardest market in New York City real estate in 30 years, just based on the number of trades. We were very fortunate. We did rank 15th in the state of New York. I think we cleared 138 million in a down year, and we are at 139 already for year to date.
So that being you or your team.
My team. So I have a 17-person team. Me and my wife run the team. We're two principals. We have three staff. And then what does that make that? That's five. And then 12 agents underneath that. And we work heavily in resale in Manhattan and Brooklyn and now South Florida. We just started that about a month
Right.
ago.
So my 40 million is okay for just me.
Yes, that's a great
So
month for us.
so 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 my small team that I'm the broker for did 90 million last year with 150 transactions, including rentals in that. So
You pulled half the weight, brother. That's great. You should pat on
I
the back.
so the only reason why I actually created my franchise so that I don't have to listen to people. But I don't want to have to listen to a broker saying this is how you do it. And so that's why I kind of do that. So
Yeah.
but here's the other thing. I like having I would still have the broker if it was just me, but I don't recruit people, but I have people actually I have a lot of ex-customers that are doing it part-time, but and some full-time, obviously. But my job is to sell because I love that. And then it's also to coach and mentor. Right. So when I have agents so there are no teams at the brokerage, but we are a team, right? We're the team of my brokerage,
Yeah.
and it's really my job is to again help them coach and mentor to wish to be, but what their effort is that they're putting in, right? Because someone's like, "Oh, I want to do this." I'm like, "Well, if you want to do this, you need to do more open houses. You need to invest in this. You need to spend the time, right? So you can't have people that if they're away every other weekend, they're not going to be able to do what we do because that's when you need to be around. So, or work with people that are going to be able to do that. So you'll also die because, well, Manhattan, you don't really have for sale signs so much except on properties, but like I'm the person when I have my 40 listings, I'm putting a sign in the lawn, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going there with the hammer, I'm putting it in. I actually have no overhead. I have no employees. So the memos,
Wow. That's
I don't have
you.
a, I actually don't have a transaction coordinator either.
Wow, that's great.
So
See, we're at scale where there's like that's that fine number where you can still service everything and be lean and mean. We just don't have that capacity, right? Where we can launch 30 listings in a day with a development, right? We'll put on five and five resale and five other in another development. And that the amount of inbound that comes from that, sorry, from that inbound leads, the amount of inbound inquiries, we have to have people to help it with the agent, TC, and everything else because the client, sometimes they spot test you. You just never
right.
know. And we've had that happen where we've been spot tested from someone in the family or the office on a personal email. And in our business, we're hospitality based. I'm a big believer that if you can make it so good for someone and I got this from the book. What is that? Incredible Hospitality or whatever that one is. I forget the name of it.
Not the adventures. You didn't get it from the adventures of
Not
the real
the,
estate.
I'm
Okay,
sure
not yet,
there's a
not
bit,
yet.
not yet.
But maybe when you get
Unreasonable
it after.
hospitality. So that's
Okay.
what we try to treat it as if the hospitality, we're both Southern. I'm from Texas and my wife's from Oklahoma. And there's a missing thought of care in the Northeast real estate. Some people are good agents, but I think people really want to be cared for in these transactions. So we really try to put the empathetic care in the hospitality in that. And then once we're ahead of all of that and we can make it so good, everyone gets answered and all this stuff. It rinses and repeats itself. People are like, oh my God, these people on top of it and nice.
Well, exactly. Well, I 100% agree with that. So I think scale is important. And some people scale for the sake of scaling, which isn't necessarily a good thing,
That's
right?
bad.
So I can do 55 to 75 transactions without a transaction coordinator. So you're right. If I got something that was 30, units that were going on, but I wouldn't just get it all of a sudden. I would know that it's happening, right?
Yeah.
And then I would do it because ultimately it's not how much money you bring in, it's how much you keep. Right. And while I'm able to bring it in is because I'm able to service the people. So I think you're right, where they always say, if you build it, they will come. But so you don't want to headcount or fixed costs are something that could kill organizations, right? Where you bring in too many people, too many costs, and then you don't have things behind it to fund that.
That's the agent, like what I see in the marketplace on the brokerage side more than ever. You see young expiring agents. They aspire to these large successful teams. And what they do is they get this little logo and they hire their friends and they all say, "I'm going to start a team." And it always fails, not or 97% of the time it fails because a person started something about a want of this image instead of learning true lead flow and how to master that and then teaching and management. That's how teams start. Is I'm so busy I have to hire someone. And then ours has done that until we never hire just for fun. We hire when we're at a capacity and we're like, we have a gap in a marketplace. We have so many listings right there. Let's hire an agent who services that already, who has the same MO as our team. Right. So that's how, if you want to grow a real team, learn how to generate listings and then learn how to teach that to an assistant first. That is how you really join a team. And most of the time people don't need a team. You just need a really good assistant. Keep all of your money. That's why people ask me, how do you start a team? I'm like, don't. You don't want to. It's a nightmare. It's
Right,
disgusting.
which
It's
is
brutal.
so I don't have a team. I have the brokerage, right, where everyone's independent, and it also allows me to move players around. If somebody lives next to one of my listings, I'm like, let's do it together, right? Let's co-list together. It's my lead. Let's do it together, And so that is it's all about that. And I think everything that you said about concierge service, that's exactly what it is. It's funny because you're the country bumpkin in the big city, and I'm
Yeah.
like New York City, but I'm in the country up here. For you guys to, but I think being, I sense so much, you being, this is who you are. There's no air about you. You are just Brandon, right? And so if we were at the Met Gala, we might be wearing nicer clothes, but our conversation
Right. You got me in a
would still be the same. But I would need you to dress me because that is not. So I am not like I am going to showings in Tommy Bahamas in shorts and flip flops because you got to know who you are, right? And for
amen.
me, I'm not the suit guy. They don't want me as the suit guy. There are other people that are suit people, but I bring a wealth of experience and dedication and hard work. And that's generally what the people that are using me care about, right? That they care about,
Correct.
that I understand, and I'm going to be their protector of in the process. Like in the example that we talked about before in New York City, before we started, where there was a problem with a gas leak, right? Like we were not going to be allowing our client to buy something with a gas leak. So we fixed it and then we made it right. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't about selling the property, it was about protecting the buyer's interest more than anything. And it was very close that the deal could have gone south and walked away and it was a $4 million apartment, right? So it can never be about the money, right?
It's
Like,
never about the money. I think that's where people get lost. We're very much a believers in, I say this to developers when they hire us all the time, and we've never really worked together. And we start helping the project, like helping with landscaping, putting in $60,000 in furniture on your own dime, helping paint and stage a unit on your behalf. And when you talk to other agents outside of like who don't do that, and it's like, you don't get rich off one big deal. You get rich off all the big deals. So when you start operating in that capacity, the developers rehire you, right? Because you putting your money where your mouth is. So when we interview to do these things, we sometimes have ideas and they're like, look, so my budget's really thin. And I go, I would be willing to do that if we can take the listing on extra terms. We get to price the property correctly. I'm not going to put in 70,000 of my own money while you reach for the sky. Like if we're in agreement that you think we're the team and these are things that we're willing to do will help the project and we price here, let's do this collectively. And we've done that now for, decades, and it's a rinse and repeat with a lot of high profile developers. But the first few are scary. Like, you're putting your money up, it's expensive. But once you get in the cycle of learning when to get up at bat for these people, it really wins long-term business.
so I do a lot what you're talking about, but that's not really outside of New York City based of brokers putting up money. Like I have a deal where it's pre-foreclosure, it's an estate. The family has no money, and I put up the money to pay for the estate work, right?
Yep.
Nobody does that where I'm at. So it allows me to be better, different, and special because I'm doing things, I'll do that. I'll pay for clean outs, right? Or
Yeah, same.
I prepaid for $15,000 for a clean out for a property that we weren't sure if it would be or if it would be underwater or not, right?
Yeah.
And I used mathematical guessing, right? Estimating of what I could sell it for, what we can net it for. And in the end of the day, at closing, I think I ended up getting 25,000 for the family. I got paid back for the moving, and then I got my commission. So, but 20,000 was more than what they didn't think they were going to get anything. We squeezed out that they got 20 and none of that. So their 20 wouldn't have happened unless I gambled 15. Right.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, okay, let's do it. And I have multiple things like that I do that because even if I break even or lose, I'm going to now have that as an example that other people and they have friends and family say, oh my God, my broker did this for us. And I have that right now that I prepaid another 15,000 for a clean out of a house that I'm about to put on the market in Connecticut.
Yeah. I
There's
think
a,
agents
you know,
agents get lost on they look at the line item of the commission. They get so transactional. Like if I need to take all of that money, but really what a listing is, especially a unique one where you did something special and then it sold for what you said and you paid for it. That marketing piece now lives on forever. Like you get to tell that story in video, you get to tell it in postcard, you get to tell it on social, you get to do it in text, you get to take that to pitches all the time. So you got to start like I think most agents are too short-sighted, and I don't think I know because I pitch against them all the time, and then we have these ideas, and someone goes, "Why didn't anyone else offer this?" And I'm like,
because they're not
some
as
people.
creative and as good as my wife and I.
Also, that's then the testament is how bad do you want the business? Because this is a partnership. When you get hired to be a real estate advisor, yeah, I can take some photos and put it on the MLS. Or then you talk to a team and they go, listen, can you do the landscaping? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And the homeowner goes, that is a lot for me. I could probably do the landscape and the painting. And then you go, great. If you can do that, I'll pick up the rest. And here's the launch date. We pay for the photos. We do X, Y, and Z. And then you come out and then they tell all of their friends and family about what you did. That you're buying marketing. It's coming naturally versus chopping it, doing it, the bastardizing it, which is taking photos of a bad property that needed love and you praying someone sees past it. Put in the effort, put in the effort, put in the extra effort, put in the extra money because the marketplace will reward you. Everyone loves real estate. They love watching unique trades. So, that's where we also train our agents to do that.
I mean, you're in New York, so I always get professional photography. Not everyone does. I also try to do the higher end, the walkthroughs with, so it's a little different than New York City, but I invest, money into doing that because even for a low end property, people are going to see that's my listing and then it looks as good as it can. And I have a 5 family right now that is not that good. There's no way to make the pictures look good. There are
Yeah,
people in it, but all I can do is the best that I can do for what it is, right? And
right.
then try to communicate. So I agree, but you know what? It's because not everyone that's real estate agent under is good with money, and I
Right.
think that's fair to say that because how many real estate agents do you know that don't have health care? How many real estate agents do you know that don't put aside money every year for their retirement?
It's
A lot,
crazy.
a lot.
Yeah.
So I put last year maybe 75,000 into my retirement account. Right. I took money from my because I have an LLC that runs my business.
Me too.
An LLC gets to declare profits. Well, I'm the only member of my LLC. I get to declare profits. I'm over 55. There's a 55 catch-up provision, right? So you can put all that money that's tax-free into your retirement account to then build, right? So that I'm able to have
It's
money.
also earning interest while it's sitting
I mean,
at non-tax.
it's more than interest. It's invested.
Yeah.
I send that money to my brokerage account. It's
Yeah.
actually invested. Hopefully they put it into SpaceX at the IPO. But like that's what many real estate people live in today's for today, and they don't live
Correct.
for tomorrow. And I think the proper people are treating people like, the VIPs, like concierge service, but yet they're seeing their business and you don't spend for what you make today because
Mm-mm.
because you just said last year was one of the harder years for you. I did every each of my 10 years, I've made more money than I did the year before, every single year. But I keep saying every year that's not going to keep going. That's not going to happen. So I don't spend like I'm getting that every year and more. I don't do budgets in the sense that I don't know if someone's going to die, move, whatever. There's some things that I can plan for, but most I can't. But what I can plan for is answering my telephone, communicating, going into my doing customer appreciation events, getting texting people, talking to people, and so that when they are ready to buy, sell, or rent, they call me because they're like they know that I'm going to be there to help them. I don't know how much money that's going to be at the end of the year. It's irrelevant how much money it's in. I just have to do my job, and then we know, at least I know from 10 years, and you have 20 years, that it's become a career and you'll be able to do okay.
Yeah, that's it. The we told people to stop bringing politic talk into the office because that's where the world has been obsessed with politics for 10 years. And especially our New York City mayor, it's all everyone can talk about. And I'm like, look, our team here in this, we have our own private office away from the Serhant headquarters. I'm like, when you're in here, we are the marketplace, meaning if someone needs to buy or sell, we are finding them regardless of politic talk. So I think another reason why we're so successful is we're constantly just looking for opportunities versus like the opportunities are hard, they're not what I want, politics, but man, that's not acceptable where we're at because it's like our motto is how's the real estate market, and it's great. We're constantly helping people buy and sell, and people go, I hear it's down, and then it's a great conversation starter. You go, I have to disagree. We've moved $45 million worth of real estate last month. Who are you talking to?
Right.
Do you need
I,
help buying or selling? Because our clients are killing, getting great deals. They're selling for great prices. So I think you need a second opinion. What are you doing? So your confidence when you exude about the market and you don't talk about these yay or nays is like it shows that you're a true operator in the marketplace and you are the market. So that's what I
I
tell everyone.
I'm actually lucky because I now have no political affiliation because I think both sides suck. So
Yeah.
with that view, because you know why? I don't like when people go this side or that side. People, I like moderation, and it's very similar to what you're saying. It's like get in a room and help people. Like that's my view of politics.
That's it.
Try to help people, and so everybody can get in that room and help people. But social media and other things prevent that. But I agree with you 100%. I work with this side, I work with that side because ultimately my job is real estate, right? So, and I'm named in multiple court judgments and I have to be the seller but because I'm Switzerland, right? So
Yeah.
the job is buying and selling. If we can get the most money for our clients, that's the way that we help people. So it's great. You are, Brandon, so refreshing. I feel that if I was younger and better looking and lived in New York City, I would we would be partners together.
Yes, sir.
But yet you're better looking, you're younger, and I'm not in New York City.
These are all kind words. Thank you, sir.
But I certainly now know if for referral based business who I need to look at to partner. So I guess my last question, because it's been going on, because you're so interesting and entertaining, is how do you make a name for yourself as Brandon when you're on Serhant's team, which obviously he's an incredible, brand builder, broker, television personality, and I like the idea that you're like, well, we have our own office because ultimately you're about being branded, right? So
Hmm.
all your hats being hung under Serhant, and I'm sure he's great. Ryan's great to help you with
Amazing.
connections and intros because clearly clients sometimes be like, oh, can we get a dinner with? Yeah, I can make that happen, whatever. But like, you feel so comfortable in your own who you are and who your team is that my view is working on the Serhant team only makes sense because that's who you're keeping company with. To me a little bit about that.
Man, this is a really great question. There's a ton to unpack there. So we are a very downtown New York City team. Like most you see, I'm in skinny jeans and a black t-shirt. And most of the days I'm showing some of the most expensive real estate. I'm sort of in the same attire because our clients, what you said earlier, this was that being authentic is very important. So we work in the Northeast where a lot of people wear suit and ties. Now there's a time and a place for that, but I did that 10 years ago where I dressed to play the part. And over time, when we started getting more successful, we touched base on this in different capacities. But what working in fashion taught me was that how you release the spectacle of a listing and the story of how the listing was sold and goes on, those stories are very important to a bunch of different parts of our industry. One, the listing, how the listing is portrayed and released to the brokerage community is one. So a lot of people will talk about big listings and who listed it and the video and the price, whether it's good or bad. And I hate that guy, I love that guy. So there's one. And then two is the one how it gets released to the public, the broker open and everything else. So we're very methodical in how we release these listings and the story and the cadence and the marketing. You also talked about always getting professional marketing. So we do that for small listings and big listings because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So we started to pay very close attention to how we released listings and how we marketed them to the different communities, the brokerage community, the home shopping community, and the people who watch in general. And as we started doing that, it caught wheels that we were very successful. And with that, we could be more authentically ourselves in attire and everything else. Our image is our business card. So like when people get us, they don't give a shit when I walk in with t-shirt and jeans and everything. They're like, you're the guy who just sold that $30 million townhouse. And how did you do it? And when I walk in, the guy's in jeans and a t-shirt. They already assume competence from the stuff we do and how we do that. When your business looks insane online, they don't give a shit as long as you show up on time. They're like, that's Brandon. He's the guy who sells all the house. Who cares what he wears? He's selling everything. Now we still dress professional and I wear suit jackets and things and nice shoes and things. But to get people they hire the job that was done before. So you're as good as your last deal. And so if you can be very methodical in documenting how you do your deal, that copy and paste over and over, the attire doesn't become, you can be more authentic. There's guys in New York that wear halter top fishnets and bright pink eyelashes and they kill it, right? And their demographic has hired them over and over because they don't give a shit what he wears. They care that he sells the house. So if you can focus on selling the house for the most amount of money and having great hospitality, you can show up with a fucking pink mohawk. People won't care. They're like, yeah, my broker's the shit. He's got a pink mohawk. You gotta see this guy. He's a trip. You know what I mean? So when people buy in your skills and capabilities, that is what starts the flywheel. And so we focus on that more than anything of quality service and how the listing is consumed. And then that has built a crazy brand for us at the Bogard New York team. And so we all have a very relaxed demeanor in how our attire, we do dress up for certain parts, but it's people hire us for the outcome, not the attire.
I love that. So lastly, just touch on the interacting with Ryan and you being obviously a leader for his business in New York City. How is that where he is also selling, which is same with me. He's selling
Yeah.
too, and how you guys work together and all that as a follow up.
Well, it's funny. I'll save that story. He recruited us for 2 years before we actually came. He called when they started, and then we eventually came as the business got to a real business. And we've went to presentations where we were the same agent being, and now we kind of cross check paths. We live 2 blocks from each other in Brooklyn and actually see him at the gym most days. We're one of the first 5 in the gym at 5:30 every morning. So we kind of catch up there, but it's fun. It's having one of the world's most successful real estate agents and people who also understand the value of a spectacle and according attention is something we were really good at before we came here. And to spot check what I think is a good idea with him on fly, because we're on a texting basis where we've become very close now, and ask his opinion on it is amazing. You can't buy that kind of, mentorship, and it's only needed here and there. We're very fortunate that we're very hands free from the company. We're very self-reliant in our own office around the corner that, when I do hey, I have a question about what do I do with this big thing? And he's like, right away. It's amazing.
Right. Well, that's awesome. You're absolutely killing it. The Bogart team is killing it.
Thanks,
It
brother.
was, thank you for coming on the podcast. Obviously, when it's out, you'll have it. You'll blast it to people. I'll blast it to people. You get it, and that's and it's not about showing, right? This is about hard work, dedication. The show is a part of it, but
Yeah,
without everything else, it's a house of cards, right?
it's a house
And
of
so,
cards.
and you have a foundation that, that's why you have your 20 years in. You're going to have 20 more years in until you just say, there's too much money in the bank. I'm just going to retire.
Hey,
Uh,
man, bro, I'm
and,
trying to get there.
and figure that out. But I wish you so much success. You don't need my wishes,
Thank
but
you, brother.
it's good to have that, and people, this should be a highly rated or watched podcast. You
I hope
have
so.
just so many things that you've said make sense. It's, again, buying Bogard coming maybe 2027 on Netflix. I'm gonna talk to my people and see if we can get that. But it certainly would be good. You certainly just treat people properly and understand the business. And people like you are a credit to our industry. And I thank you for coming on again. And for everyone, it's Daniel Berger with the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. Until next time, thank you very much.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
If today's stories opened your eyes, wait till you see what's next. Hit the video on screen to join the next adventure with Daniel Berger.